Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Get the Mic, the only show where your hosts, on the left, Owl,
And on the right, Brock.
dissect fiction for its mythological significance. In this episode, we're talking about Dragon Ball, as usual. And we're finally leaving away that small village of Sinnohs in the north, and we're returning back to civilization, having found the wisdom of that small folk village, let's say.
It's a trip to the city.
And that's what we're talking about today. I don't think we have anything to say other than we are unsatisfied with the removal of the YouTube dislike counter. We wish for it to come back, and we're just gonna, I think, mention it every episode.
Yeah, give us back our dislikes.
Give us back our dislikes. We had plenty. We valued them, each one of them.
Only
Anyhow,
fair.
so let's go ahead and get right into the episode. So last time we saw the secrets of Dr. Flap and how he removed the malevolence from Ader, and ultimately Goku is the one that ridded the malevolence from the world. He had to be the one to do it, naturally. And they returned. We also saw that Android 8 had the Dragon Ball all along, which has its own meaning carried. So I'd say view our last episode. I'll put a card up above so that you can see exactly what we're talking about from the last episode we recorded. So now we're going to see the extrapolation of that. Murasaki also is finally defeated. Good riddance, I'd say. And we do, then there's Murasaki there, Dr. Flap stealing Dragon Balls, all that. Both Murasaki is defeated and the Dragon Balls are recovered. Goku and the gang sleep all in Sano's house, and they're all chilling out together in that last night. They rest up together, and the village chief leaves. I think that's pretty much it. Besides the fact that Goku's radar is still destroyed,
Well, yeah,
and so he needs to go find Bulma. And this
I was gonna say
we do need to talk about this.
the impetus for this setup of the setup of this episode is the fact that Doctor Flap could not fix the radar. Right, this is something that's beyond Doctor Flap, and so the next step is obviously to go
And
that next step
what
up.
is that to say that hermit spirit is not able to find the wisdom gained from that interaction with others that we'll see manifest in our main man coming up very soon.
Right. Well, it's the thing that is introduced to Goku right after he encounters that judgment and that paralyzing sort of wisdom of confronting that chaotic spirit and that judging chaos, right? That Bulma brings with her and that enlightenment. And so
He needs
it is that
again
forever.
to contend with it.
Yeah, you need to continue to contend with that
Well,
spirit.
specifically too, I want to say why the Dragon Radar is broken. So Goku's fights at Muscle Tower, right? I mean, that's how they explain it diegetically.
Hmm.
But it is to say that his way has been shaken with the fact that he's encountered spirits he's never been able to conceive of before in the forms of both white and the ideological possession of Major Metallatron, the total deception and fervor and persistence of Murasaki, the monstrous nature of Bouillon, right? All of those things have come to a head, and it's made Goku lose his ability to find the wisdom. He needs to reset by contending again with the chaos. And it's kind of also interesting that at the beginning of this, we saw Silver destroy the Keen and
Right.
very soon we're going to see, and that's exactly it. They're both connected.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that because he was knocked off of the Nimbus, right? This is sort of a fallout of that. He says, well, it's because I got beat up during my fights, but it's the way that he fought, right? And the way that he fought was a result of him being knocked off of the Kinto. And we see him acting in a very different way and being quick to anger and more judgmental in this little arc.
And pretty vicious, right? Like he
Mhm.
was about to murder White, just like
He needed to be called to his senses by White's voice of self-preservation, right?
yeah. And so all of that is why Goku's is off the path at this point. He's not able to find the wisdom he needs. Um, well, let me rephrase that. He's not able to find where the wisdom lies as easily as he was before. So he's going to go find Bluma, who is that chaotic nature, right? She is the darkest shadow in the forest that the knight enters to
Hmm.
find that wisdom, right? She's that ever-changing, judgmental, feminine spirit, like Brock was saying a minute ago.
Yeah, it's extremely important that this is how Goku goes to calibrate to calibrate his himself so that he can see his path.
It's
You know.
interesting too because this is another knight. We rarely see knights animated here or even in the manga.
Well, it's something we didn't talk about with the final showdown in Muscle Tower, that it was a night, and that the end of the night, right, was instantiated in that unsheathing of the sword.
Well, and it's also to say, yes, the unsheathing of the sword in Android number 8, but it's also to say that the knight that not necessarily superficial, but definitely has the superficial element of it being dark and things like that, right? Um that made manifest in this persona based tower of General White, right? Who's disintegrated himself in these ways to make manifest challenges for other spirits attempting to challenge his own.
Right, it's almost like it becomes night the higher you rise up this tower rather than it being tied to time.
Sure. And I think we're good on that now, right?
Mhm.
Let's go ahead. And so then Goku tries to leave and he said he was going to walk to Ader and Sano, but here an old man tells him that there used to be many people who could ride the Nimbus cloud.
He said there
And
were tons flying around
our
when he was
boy
young.
our boy Village backs him up. He says there used to be many, but since
Yeah.
only people with a pure heart can ride them, they're no longer prevalent.
I think that that's really interesting because there's this feeling you get right from the beginning of the story that there was an older generation that's almost mythological, right? That was larger than life, that did these amazing deeds and lived long
Roshi
lives
and
and
Gohan and even the Ox King.
right. All of these sort of larger than life characters, and then these elders say that they remember a time when people were pure of heart and could fly on the Kinto Un.
And we imagine that Roshi at one point might have been able to, right? I
Sure.
mean,
I
he's been
mean,
able to
why would he
call it
have it in the first place if he wasn't ever able to ride it?
maybe before he was blind, but we're going to get into that at some point.
Hmm.
So he calls forth the Keen and I mean, that's the thing. He has to call it forth once again, right? Now, and I think it's especially now that he's encountered that, not only has he encountered silver, but he's gone beyond what silver is. He's gone to white. He's realized true malevolence and resentment, arrogance and deceit, such that now knowing that is not going to shake his foundation, and his path is still able to be manifest before him in the form of the Nimbus cloud.
Right. It's the resolution of what happened with Muscle Tower, right? Ader going and tearing Muscle Tower down is symbolic of this, setting things the way that they should be, letting that spirit free to then again confront the unknown instead of being caged up in an ego, right? And so now Goku can go forth and find his path again. So
Well,
it's
Goku can chart his path to the wisdom of Bluma, right?
right. He can find the
Well,
way, I
the
suppose.
wisdom gained by interfacing with Bluma is a better way to put it.
Hmm.
And so he goes that way and he says goodbye to all these village people.
It's funny because he tries to go east and Sano reminds him, no, that direction's
Yes.
west.
Yes. And that is to say that without the radar, right, he doesn't know where he's going. He does have his path.
Right, but there is that little
He
feminine
is
spirit to
walking the
tell him the
way.
right way, right?
Yes. And that is to say that Sano is just a small little fraction of what Bluma represents as a whole, right?
Hmm.
It's that guiding feminine spirit. Mother Nature herself seems to, uh, what did Campbell say? Support the endeavor of the hero.
Right. So someone named after nature, Snow.
And so then we see Goku arrive. He flies for a while. He arrives in the city and he begins looking for Bulma.
It's pretty funny. He wanders up to random strangers and says, "Hey, do you know where Bulma lives?" And they're like, "Who's Bulma?" And he's like, "She lives in this town.
You should know. She lives in the same place as you.
Why
Like,
wouldn't you
why
know
wouldn't
her?
you know
Wow."
her? No, and it's very much to say that the path for oh my gosh, the dinosaur. Um so it's very much to say that the moral and maybe I guess right way to be is to know and be familiar with one's neighbors, to not become detached in this fashion.
Well, Goku's only definition of a community or a civilization, right, has been through his encounters with all of these small villages, right? You can think of all the different ones, even whenever he was a bit younger and he was learning under Roshi and going to those small villages and tilling the land and everything, going up to how he saw the city one time whenever he went into the tournament and then immediately left, right? So, as far as he understands society at all, everyone should know everybody.
Well, and I think that's true though, because a society that becomes disintegrated by the fact that no one knows each other cannot survive in the same spirit that one that is united under the same basis.
Same personal myth.
Sure, is able to. And so he asks around, no one really knows, and he eventually gets into a cab, and the cab's like, "Where do you want to go?" Goku says, "To Bulma's house." Says,
Obviously.
"Where's that?" "I don't know. I'm looking for it." And so Goku gets out. The cab tells him that he should have had some money. So Goku looks around to find some money. But I do want to say before we get there, this scene or this shot in particular with Goku superimposed over the TVs,
Hmm.
and he says, "This place sure is noisy."
I like it. I like how it's the news and then it's like a cute girl and it's a few other things and it really kind of encompasses what the
It's
screens show.
it's a satirical example of of the city culture, right? It's the city culture. It's all noise. There's
It's
nothing of
excessive.
substance, right? No one knows each other. There's no not personality, but personability is
Hmm.
what I want to say. And so Goku's kind of in shock by this because of the way he is. We also see the Red Ribbon Army is tracking him. And so he gets into that cab, like we said, and he's prompted to go try and find some money. So in his quest to go find some money, he encounters Kenpo, who is it looks like a Bruce Lee kind of Bruce
Is
Lee clone,
is
right?
his name Kinpo or does he know Kinpo? I think Kinpo is
Oh,
the
maybe he
style.
knows Kenpo. What is his name? I don't
His name is
remember.
Kung Fu.
Is it really?
No.
Oh,
We see him beat up an army man. I
yeah.
think that that's
We're just gonna call
interesting.
him Bruce Lee.
Yeah, it's Bruce Lee. He beats up a soldier. I think that that's just obviously symbolic of we just saw Goku fight the Red Ribbon Army. He sees this guy beat up a soldier. He's like, "Oh, this guy's a good fighter."
He must be the same, right? He must be on my level.
And so he calls out to the crowd and he says, "Is anyone willing to fight me?" And Goku says, "Oh, if I'll get money if I beat you." And everyone laughs. And it's all this gag and everyone just keeps laughing at how serious Goku seems. And he says, "Okay, I'll play along, kid. Go ahead and come at me."
And so Goku unleashes not really his full might, but he definitely goes in for the win, right? And he knocks him off his feet. Bruce Lee gets up and pretends that it's nothing. But this is to say that that which lords their skill over the plebs. And let's say something that Dr. Peterson talks about with chess. If you're a master chess player and you're playing casuals and you're just pub stomping them left and right, that's not you're not a genius. You're a nitwit, I think is what Dr. Peterson said at that point. And that's exactly what
Yeah, you're violating the spirit of the game at that
that's what
point.
Bruce Lee is doing here, though. He's saying, here's a challenge, right? You obviously lower than me will challenge me, and I'm just
Yeah.
exploiting.
Like pay me to teach
I'm
you a lesson.
exploiting my position on the hierarchy, and that's
Right.
what he's doing. And so Goku, being that force which is truth, knocks him down on the hierarchy, saying, right? Kind of pick on someone your own size. And so Goku knocks him, crushes the wall, and once he crushes the wall, Bruce Lee surrenders, and Goku takes his 100,000 zenny prize money, which is hilarious because the tournament was only 500,000 zenny.
Well, it's funny because he was like, this is like the Tenkaichi Budokai, right? And so
Well, he acknowledges it as a hierarchy because that's what's being manipulated by Bruce Lee, right?
right.
So he says, "Let me introduce my instantiation in the hierarchy and smack him down."
And that's how he does it socially, right? He does it to his peers, and so we see that he's trying to play it off like he's not getting hurt because he keeps looking at the crowd and seeing their reaction. And then what happens is Goku hits him with this kick. So he tries a jump attack against Goku, and Goku responds with the same thing. He hits him with the jump attack and destroys the his little makeshift arena, right? He breaks the foundation of his pop-up hierarchy, right?
Basically saying, right, Goku is basically iterating that he is beyond the bounds which Bruce Lee has set here, and that if he were to show his full potential, he would have to be bigger than what this place is.
And we do see multiple times throughout this point, the camera keeps pulling in low and showing Goku's tail. And then as he's walking away with the money as well, we see his tail lingering on screen as he walks by. Because I think that's kind of pointing out that Goku, he is a monster compared to this guy now. He's just fought an army, right? This guy thinks that he's a monster, right? He's projected himself as beating up a soldier, but Goku's the real deal. He's the monster here. And there's a little point here whenever they first laugh at him, whenever he says, I'll do it, everyone laughs. The guy that's directly behind him is a vampire. He's got this popped collar that's pointed out, and he's got pointy teeth, and he's got this widow's peak look on
Did
his
we
eyebrows.
not get it? Did we get it?
He's there. It's very brief. But looking back at it, maybe you can scrub back and see viewers at home.
I'll have to look.
But it's
later,
pretty great.
yeah.
You see, there's this emanation of the monster energy from Goku. That's right. Brought to you by Monster Energy.
Brought to you by Monster. No, that's not our.
No, it's not.
It'd be cool if we got a promo sometime like that. It'd be cool. Anyways, so he obviously destroys Bruce Lee and takes the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree that bestial revelation, I think, is poignant here to say that his and I think too it's that natural instinct that has led him to this higher challenge of hierarchies, right? That is to say, animals who see others on the top of the hierarchy will naturally challenge them.
Yeah.
Right?
Forthright.
And it's that bestial nature still.
Brave, right? He's not fearful. We see
also
that in the crowd because there's a guy.
Assertive is what I want to say.
Yeah, because there's a guy in the crowd that's talking to another guy, and he says, "Hey, you should try." And he's like, "No way, there's no way that I could stand up against him." And that's when Goku says something because it's establishing him as inherently being brave, being bold enough, sort of being forthright like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so then Goku goes on with his money, and he is immediately mugged. I don't even know what to say. Mugged because he doesn't actually like give her the money. They lure him. Two thieves lure him into an alleyway, and they threaten him with modes of being that aren't even mosquitoes to Goku. So he headbutts one, basically kills him, and then he kicks the gun out of the other one's hand and basically kills him. So he just kills two people. They don't actually die.
It doesn't kill him. The second guy tries to play it off as a joke, and then suggests he talk to a police officer,
which is interesting because he still gets that information. And he goes to a woman. Wait, let's see. No, this is just this part. So also to say that he confronts with truth the, let's say, low status of the mode of being of someone who's a mugger. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously below him. This is like the first floor that he encountered of Muscle Tower, right? A couple of thugs.
Yeah, a couple of thugs. And I think it's interesting that it's here, the first thing. And it's kind of, it repeats because Toriyama likes to put that, like that last recap, like in the next thing. Remember what happened last time.
Well, there's that internal, Krillin, right? Internal-external dichotomy that he plays out, sort of.
Yeah. And so then he goes to look for a police officer. He finds a woman who tells him where one is. He gives her the 10,000 or 100,000, and he's like, "Here's your money." He talks to the police officer, and he takes off towards Bulma's house. The police officer, he looks up Bulma, and they identify her.
Not based on Goku's drawing,
No, Goku's
which was
drawing is great
beautiful.
though. I loved it. And he takes him to Bulma's house. This is to also say, the hero with, and I like how this, a couple things about the police officer's design. One, he's an elderly man. Two, he's got a mustache. Three, he's got glasses, right? It's that
Commissioner Gordon sort of look, right? Where you've got the
right, but
wizened.
it's that spirit which police are meant to represent, which is like a wise, guiding, and protective spirit of the
Mm,
community. And so that spirit, along with the hero, are able to locate the wisdom in the city because there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff in the city.
yeah, well, there's a lot of chaos, and here's a beacon of order, right? Here in
Yes.
the middle, and so the hero needs to go to someone who can create order from the chaos that he's wandered into so that they can work together and they can find what they're
And
looking
that's
for.
why I like the design because it evokes that spirit, or that it evokes, yeah, it evokes that spirit.
Hmm.
And so Goku takes off with him, and they get to Bulma's house, and we're gonna see a lot next episode. It's
I'm
gonna be
really
a big
excited
one. Me
about
too.
next episode.
But this one is really him just getting there, kind of ending the northern arc and all that stuff, and Goku's first interactions here in the city.
Yeah, there's a lot of setup in this episode. We're setting up the goons that are going to be running into Husky
Husky, yep.
very soon. We're kind of just setting up Goku knowing what the city is like because he hasn't been to this instantiation of the city before. He was in a very controlled city experience whenever he went to the tournament, and he hasn't truly tried to navigate it and to integrate into it.
Right, and I don't think it's to say that Goku can, because he's so individualistic and the city is so non-individualistic that it's hard to say that Goku could integrate himself into a city lifestyle at any point.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think this is a good spot to say his search for Bulma has kind of come to an end at this point. It's been aided along the way with some wisdom, and both in the beginning of the episode with the knowledge that the Kintone, the hero's way, the way to be, the Tao, doesn't get erased by new knowledge. It may shake a person's stability on it, may knock them on one side or the other, but the way itself does not disappear. That's one thing.
Hmm.
And then, alternatively, later in the episode, we see the police officer, right, be the way for Goku to find the wisdom in the city that emanates from this cultural and scientific achievement made possible somewhat in part by Dr. Brief, which we're going to get to next
Right,
episode.
Bulma's father, the source of the capsules and many other things. I do want to point out too. Now that we're here at the end of the episode, I remembered that there are multiple instances of that internal external sort of dichotomy. Think about what we originally saw with Silver and his introduction of him being a sort of unfair fighter that was punching down against a lot of his opponents, right? And that's what Goku wanders into as well here in the city whenever he finds the fighter who's basically just beating up random people in the crowd and taking their money and saying, oh, if anyone could stand up to my fighting, he's basically just kind of dealing out that punishment. And then we see, of course, the thugs there on the street. So it's really nice to pay that off here and show now the reflection on the exterior how you can take this and integrate it into a sort of normal day-to-day experience to know what it means external to the symbolic thing that we just saw with Muscle Tower, right?
Yes, exactly, and it moves us to a point where we can start to establish um, the next phase of what Goku's going to encounter, because we've seen him forthrightly encounter malevolence, and now we're gonna have to see what comes next. What is the Red Ribbon Army gonna be able to throw at him next?
It's interesting because I think you were telling me literally the next thing that kind of comes along. It's not technically canon.
It's true. Yeah, the husky part, but we'll get to that.
Hmm.
All right. So I think this brings us kind of neatly to the end. Anything else you want to say?
No, I just thought it was. I really like this situation with Goku in the drawing, and then the officer sees that he's a kid. When he shows him the bad drawing, he goes, "Well, I normally wouldn't do this, but." He sees Goku's spirit, so he breaks the rules to help him
Yes,
find
yes,
Bulma,
and
right?
and that is to say, the spirit supersedes the rules. And
Yeah.
that's another reason because the cop decides to do that. He's embodying that spirit of the ancestral, which helps the hero, right? And that's what cops should instantiate.
Right, they should be able to recognize that spirit.
Yes, instead of punishing those types of spirits. But
Mhm.
anyways, let's
Yeah.
let's not linger on that too long. If you liked what you heard, give us a like, subscribe. Give us a rumble. We're on
Bungle,
also on Rumble.
the Lungle Bungle.
Tweet about us. Share this video. Please share it out. In fact, we should probably mention about sharing it out earlier so that our fans do share it out. We want to try and get more viewers. I think there's a lot of stuff to say here that people would enjoy if they would give it a listen. I know it's a lot long episodes, but long men not bad.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said for um the revelatory type of conversation where you take the time that's necessary to figure out what you need to appreciate about something, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, like I said, like and subscribe. We do new episodes on Sunday and Tuesday, and we may be doing some more here in the future, but stay posted, and we'll see you guys, see you guys next time.
The flying nimbus. Am I really ready to part with it? Why not? If you can ride it, it's yours. The flying nimbus. It can fly you wherever you want. If you can ride it, it's yours. Come to me, flying nimbus. Where is that cloud? Oh, there it is. It's about time.